I just want to make sure that we record your introduction, Rebecca. So, all right. Well, hi, everyone. My name is Jenny Schwartz. I'm the Director of Helping here at Jewish for Good. I'm here with my colleagues, Shoshana Funk, Stacy Abramowitz, and Jordana Brown. So they all just waved. And Rebecca's one of my colleagues as well, but I'll introduce her more in depth. Thank you all for joining us for our third, the third in this year's Aging and Thriving program. With this series we have done for a number of years, and we love doing it. So we're glad that you can join us today. This program is made accessible and possible to us for free by Jewish for Good, the Levin Foundation, and the Carolina Foundation for Jewish Seniors. Jewish for Good's Helping Department offers a comprehensive range of services that help people meet life's challenges. We deliver high quality professional social services for adults and their families through all stages of life. This includes counseling, case management, financial assistance, food pantry, and programs like this, much of which, as I mentioned before, we offer are free, and all of it's open to everybody, Jewish or not. So for more information, we invite you to visit our website at jewishforgood.org. And we also have additional resources and links that correspond to this talk today, which we sent in the email with the Zoom link, but I will put it in the chat as well, just so you can see accompanying resources related to this topic. So anyway, we are very, very excited and lucky to have a great speaker today. Rebecca Grossfeld is here. Rebecca combines personal training, exercise, class instruction, and massage therapy to bring forth overall health and wellness. Her background, in dance and over 12 years working in Structure House enabled her to empower many students and clients to overcome their fear of exercise and, and negative body image, inspiring individuals to develop courage, confidence, creativity, and clarity in their movement thrills, and in their movement thrills her. So we are very excited to have her here speaking about movement for older adults. And welcome, Rebecca.
Hey, thank you, Jenny. Welcome, everybody. One of the things that I love to do when we first start is to introduce ourselves to each other. And so for respect for those who are participating and also the recording, we're going to pause the recording for a moment for those who want to introduce themselves. I don't want anybody to feel pressured to do that. And then we will resume the recording after that. So thank you everybody for sharing and for your courage in being open about some of the struggles that you have, some of the questions that you have, and just some of the associations you have with movement for older adults. Some of the things that were shared involve staying healthy, active lifestyle, staying independent and being active, longevity. I heard a number of people mentioning osteoarthritis, overcoming aging joints, pandemic fatigue and isolation, and getting back into a movement routine. There was a mention of, I have access to a pool, maybe I should use it. So I'm just gonna put in the idea of dancing in the pool, water walking in the pool, and there's a lot that you can do in the pool, particularly if you have osteoarthritis or pain throughout the body. And then I also, just a kind of a detail, I heard about not pivoting or rotating in the knee. So there's also, how do we move from the whole body? How do we move in the hip to protect the knee? So there are a lot of things to think about for movement for older adults. And somebody else mentioned exercising in a chair. You can be in a chair, you can be on the floor, you can be standing, you can be in the water. There are a lot of ways you can move. And so the theme that I have for today with movement for older adults is being yourself, bringing your own unique body into your movement experience. I think that's key, because there are exercise recommendations, and I'll share some basic things with you. But if you do not come into it with your own honor and respect for your body's ability, potential, limitations, pains, joy and pleasure of movement, then you are, you may be vulnerable to injury. You may not be fulfilling your potential and getting the most out of your movement. And I find it much more fulfilling to move from the inside out. So with being yourself, bringing yourself into your own movement, it's important for you to find yourself stable, strong, and sensational. So how do you find stability in your movement, stability in your body? How do you build strength? And then how do you feel the sensation of your movement, where you're not ignoring that, but you're paying attention to that amidst the exercise recommendations? How do you pay attention to your own movement experience and not ignore it? So some of the exercise recommendations, there are three main components. There's cardiorespiratory. So there's getting your heart moving, your lungs moving, the blood pumping through your body, the large muscle groups moving as much as you can move, and increasing the heart rate as you feel ready. There's range of motion and flexibility, finding your full range of motion. There may be limitation, but you're always going to search for a safe edge of your comfort zone. So there's always more. We are always expanding our capacity. So there's always going to feel like some limitation, right? So we're always exploring the more zone. Then there's also strength. So the stability is really important for you to build your strength. If you're trying to emphasize building your strength as a higher priority than your stability, then you might be setting yourself up to injure yourself, because your muscles might be so, they might be bound, they might be overly tight, they may be overly used. But if you incorporate that with being stable and feeling your sensation of movement, then you're more likely to be safe in what you're doing. So stable, strong, and sensational. So with one of the certifications I have with NASM, National Academy of Sports Medicine, the main principles are three: stabilization, which is something I mentioned, strength, something I mentioned, and power. But the first priority is your stabilization, establishing your safety, your sense of security, and then building your strength, and then building your power, moving from that place. And the reason why I say sensational is because when you feel your sensation of movement, it's from that place that you find your power, because you are honoring what you're already feeling. And that honesty and that integrity with your own body actually allows you the freedom and the capacity to move, knowing that you're paying attention to what you need, you're paying attention to what you're ready for, and you're paying attention to what result that produces. So some of the basic recommendations for exercise are, let's say, at least 30 minutes of moderate to intense aerobic activity, kind of a moderate amount, at least 5 days a week. That's about 150 minutes a week. But what I would say with that concept is move as much as you can every day in the ways that you can, finding creative solutions to what you can do rather than thinking, I can't do this, I can't do that. Exploring what can you uniquely do, and hopefully what brings you pleasure in your movement. Another way to look at exercise recommendations for cardiorespiratory and movement is at least 25 minutes of vigorous aerobic activity at least 3 days a week. That's about 75 minutes a week. So you can do it a little bit more intensively, at the same time still paying attention to how you feel, what you're ready to do, and what's safe for you, and what's fun. Then also you could do a higher intensity level, and that's going to be moderate to vigorous activity, average of 40 minutes, 3 to 4 days a week. That's a little bit more of maintenance. So you have these different ways of looking at your options. But again, finding daily movement and what feels best for you. So my approach is the concept of noticing. Noticing how you feel, noticing where you feel what you feel, where in your body do you feel what you feel, not ignoring it, paying attention to it. Observation. So sometimes with limitations such as osteoarthritis or pain, it can really require a lot of attention. And instead of judging that, or even sometimes that might cause feeling angry with our body, and finding a way to be non-judgmental of it, but to attend to it, to pay attention to it. And sometimes when we pay attention to something in our body that is telling us, this hurts, I feel this pain here, just giving that attention to the area of our bodies, that in itself may be healing. Might reduce some of the pain, because sometimes that pain is caused by the fear that develops around that area of the body. Because when we don't feel safe in our movement, when we feel pain, we can feel scared. We can have fear. And by having that fear, that actually can increase the sensation of pain. So if we pay attention to it, we listen to it, we might actually be able to release some of the fear, which might release some of the pain. One random example, not skeletal or muscular related, but one time I love aromatherapy, working with essential oils, and I got peppermint oil in my eye. And you're not supposed to do that. And so I started to get a little bit scared, like, this kind of hurts. This doesn't feel so good. What do I do? And I started to study it. What am I actually feeling? And as I really paid attention and I got behind that fear, I realized, well, my eye is cold. My eyeball is actually cold from the peppermint oil. And so it went from the fear and the thinking I felt pain to an observation of what was the real sensation. So when you have pain in your body, though it may be painful to do so, taking some time to really feel around that area of your body might give you clues to bring yourself some healing. There are a lot of people where we're going out to other people, other experts, physical therapists, doctors, personal trainers, massage therapists, nutrition, well, people outside of ourselves. Lots of people have skill, have knowledge, and it's great to learn from other people. They are facilitators for you to be your best educator. So coming from the inside of what your sensations are is key for you to educate yourself from the inside out. Okay, so thinking about moving from the inside out and thinking about, we have a lot of systems in our bodies. You know, we're pretty functional in so many ways. And I'm going to focus on the muscular system, the skeletal system, and the nervous system today with the approach of noticing. So with the muscular system, we have more than 600 muscles. That's a lot of muscles. So if I'm saying, I feel pain in my arm or I feel pain in my leg, where? There are a lot of muscles, there are a lot of areas where that might be relevant. Can you narrow it down to where in your body you're feeling what you're feeling and what is that feeling? With the skeleton, you've got your structure, right? So it helps support you. When your muscles and your skeleton can work well together, then they can work more efficiently and the muscles don't have to overfunction. So finding out how to find support. So go ahead and have a seat. If you're not sitting, find a chair that you feel comfortable sitting in. And I want you to just slouch. Well, maybe you were already slouching. So stay there for a moment, okay? So as you're slouching, notice where your support is. Where do you feel the support? So for example, I feel support in the back behind my shoulders, right? Because I'm leaning back into the seat. I feel support under my elbows because of the armrests. I feel support in my lower back, sort of. But what happens if I do decide that I'm going to come forward and I'm going to sit upward and I sit on my, what we informally call our sit bones? What if I can find that my hips are actually there to support my spine, my rib cage, scapula, skull? What if I can find that support from the pelvis? So let's go back to slouch. Feel where you find the support. So what I'm noticing is that I'm actually right now finding the support from the chair, something outside of me. Well, if you come forward and up, can you find support better from you, from your skeletal structure? Press your feet into the floor, feel the top of your head reach up towards the ceiling or the sky, and finding a little bit better skeletal support and structure. So that's just a simple concept of finding better structure and support from your skeleton. So then there's also the nervous system, and where I'm going to come from with thinking about the nervous system is more about, if I tell you, okay, I want you to run fast. Well, for me, that might make me feel really nervous, right? Yeah, I see some nodding. When I first started exercising before I became a personal trainer, I remember I had this treadmill and it had this pole that turned up the speed, right? It didn't have a button. And I lifted this lever and it went as fast as it could. And here I'm trying to keep up, and I got super anxious. That did not help me get a good workout, right? So fortunately, I figured out how to turn it back down. And then I had to learn how to go at my own pace, right? And when you go at your own pace and you pay attention, you listen, you notice, you can gradually increase your pace and the challenge, because maybe you want to. Maybe you got bored. Maybe you're curious about what's next. Allow yourself to go there rather than forcing yourself to move forward before you're ready. Okay, so now we're going to do a movement activity I call inside out. And we're going to be thinking about the muscular system, the skeletal system, and the nervous system. You can be sitting in a chair. You can lie down on the floor, and you can be standing for this activity. It's whatever you feel comfortable and what's best for you. For example, when I say you can be sitting in a chair, there are dance companies where people are in wheelchairs dancing. So there are a lot of possibilities. There are people in their 80s and 90s who are still building strength, and actually bodybuilders, right? So you may have more potential than you realize, even if you have pain today. So go ahead and either find a place on the floor, find a chair, or find a place in the room. But make sure that you have plenty of room around you, plenty of space, that there's nothing on the floor that you could step on or trip over or kick into, or that you make sure you're not near a wall where you could hit. And start out by feeling the bottoms of your feet. So the stability, the strength of your body, and the sensation. And if you're standing, go ahead and start to walk. Walk around the room, feel the bottoms of your feet. If you're sitting in a chair, feel your feet pressing into the floor. And really just get a sense of, that's your grounding. That's your sense of support. Feeling the floor, and if you were outside, on the ground, on the earth, feeling the earth. Feeling underneath you the support that's available to you. So just take a walk around, or sitting, press your feet into the floor. And even if you're lying down, in that situation, you could either bend your legs and put your feet on the floor, or you could feel the support all for your whole body coming from the floor. So now start to find movement in your ankles. So I'm circling my feet. So I'm going to lift my foot so you can see. I'm just circling. So you're just circling your ankles and just getting a sense of the mobility around your ankles. Now you can do that standing in one place. You can do that moving through the room. You could do that sitting in a chair, just circling the foot and the ankle. You could do that lying down. You can think about as if you were in a pool and just get a sense of just a gentle movement around the ankles. And now move into your knees. Same concepts, same ideas. You're circling your knees. Gentle and working at your own pace. Curious. So you're finding the curiosity, you're noticing. Now start to move into your hips. So your hips have a lot to do with your spine. They give freedom for your legs to move. So you're just moving your hips around, finding kind of like, I think of that big balloon that's on the side of the road sometimes, and it's like a Gumby, and it's just moving. So you're just finding movement. This is different than I'm on a treadmill and an elliptical and a machine. This is something you can do in the water. This is something you can do in your room. You can put on some music and just start to move. You are doing a movement exploration. And then move into your spine. What movements is your spine ready to do? Going in all different angles. You can go forwards. You can arch. You can go side to side. You can rotate. Again, doing what you feel ready and comfortable and safe to do. And then moving into your rib cage. So trying to move your rib cage. I find all of this gets stuck as people are getting older because we move a lot of linear ways. So this is circular. So moving, you might even notice your breathing. Maybe your breathing is getting a little bit, somebody mentioned earlier, winded. That can feel a little bit scary and cause some anxiety sometimes for people. So you build gradually. It's okay to get a little winded as long as you are not lightheaded, not dizzy. If you are, then you can sit down and just be careful. So now moving into your scapula, your shoulder blades. There's a lot of neck and shoulder discomfort that can be pretty common. So finding movements in that area is really important because otherwise it gets stuck. So you're just moving in curious ways. What can your body do? Kind of like a little kid. Oh, I'm just curious. Just curious. So then taking it into your elbows, into your wrists, into your fingers, your hands. Your skull, your head. And slow it down. And so that's an exploration with the muscles. So now we're going with the skeleton. But now we're going to move into the muscles. So let's think about pushing. Find a wall, find armrests of a chair, and you're just going to start to push. And here, I just want you to explore. You're just curious, right? You know, you can go to a gym and you can do really specific exercises. A lot of people are going to teach you that. That's really available to you. But this is your own curious exploration. And it might seem a little odd, but probably nobody's watching for you, right? And then what about pushing the floor away as you bend? And we call it a squat, right? Going only as low as your knees don't hurt. And everything that we're doing is probably getting some blood flow, some circulation, getting your heart rate moving. And now tighten your muscles. Make your muscles as tight as you can throughout your whole body. And notice how that affects your movement. For me, it slows me down. So think about if you're tightening your muscles more than you need to, that might be slowing you down. So what if you can let that go? What if you can be lighter? What if you can relax the muscles while you work the muscles? And then there's the nervous system. So we're just gonna shake, kind of like a 5-year-old, and you're just curious about movement. Again, make sure you're not hitting anything around you, and slow it down. And then notice how you feel. Good. So maybe you feel a release. Maybe you feel actually a little bit more excitement or joy. Maybe you feel like, oh my gosh, what did I just do? Maybe you feel silly, and that's okay too. And we're going to slow down the movement take another walk around or an observation while you're sitting in the chair. If you're on the floor, you might be rolling on the floor by now, right? You're just being curious and exploring. And we're going to find our way back to the screen, to the chair, and take a deep breath in. Let that go. Take a moment, close your eyes, and notice where you feel, what you feel in your body. Returning to the sensations under the bottoms of your feet. If you're sitting in a chair, you're sitting, feel the sensation of sitting in the chair, feel that support under your hips. Notice your breathing. Rest a moment. And when you're ready, open your eyes again. So I'm going to take a moment, to just check in with the participants, ask you about your experiences, questions that might have come up for you, your curiosity, your observations. And so I'm going to be stopping the recording for now. And after the questions of the live participants, Jenny and I will go back over, we'll address some of the questions, and we'll include that in the recording for those who are not present for the live session, but will be watching the recording. Okay, so Jenny and I will come back. Thank you, Thank you, everybody, for your courage and your participation in something that might seem a little out of the box, a little out of the norm, especially in the fitness field. Thank you very much for coming today. Really appreciate it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Well, and thank you all for being here. And thank you, Rebecca, for such an amazing and informative presentation. I know that we all took something from it today that will benefit us in hopefully our day-to-day life. And I think things that we can hopefully, is what I meant to say, continue to be able to do when we think about it. So thank you so much for taking the time to inform us about this. And again, thank you all for being here. We will have our last program will be tomorrow, and it's about socializing. Can't remember exactly the title, but it's about social safety for socializing online. So we hope that you'll enjoy us for that. That includes social activities, dating, things like that. So we hope you'll join us for that same time. And we will be sending out, as Rebecca pointed out, this is being recorded. We have paused it at points where to keep some privacy, but it will be on our website next week, and we will you can look for that if you want to review this. We also will be sending out evaluations next week, and we really hope that you take the time to fill it out, because it helps us to improve it for next year and find out what went well and what things we can work on. And in addition, we will also be having the links for the additional resources for this. I also wanted to let you know about a program that we have coming up starting in May. It's called Schmooze and Nosh. It's a new social program for older adults. The first one will be Wednesday, May 25th from 2 to 4. And it's gonna be here at the JCC, and we'll have snacks and casual conversation and activities, and the details will be on the website. So we'll send information about that as well when we send the evaluation form. But again, thank you, Rebecca, so much. We feel so lucky to have you as part of our community and you sharing your expertise. And so, and thank you all for being
Great to be a part of the community. This was brought me pleasure too. So thank you, everybody. Thanks so much for your hearts and your joy and your participation. Yeah.
Thanks.
Have a great day, everyone.
Bye, everybody.
You too. Bye-bye.
All right, so we have just wrapped up our the presentation. Rebecca did a great job, and I think if Rebecca's going to take some time now and just review and kind of highlight what came out of the group discussion.
It was beautiful what people shared. One person shared that it felt like a recess, like when we're kids and we're playing on the playground and we just have a break, a rest, a playtime. And why not bring recess back into our lives now? Including music could be a great addition. We talked about moving in the water and how you can dance in the water, you can walk in the water, and that's a creative outlet for exercise that might feel safer than being on land. People talked about it being a non-prescribed movement or making myself and I should exercise versus the enjoyment of movement. Finding the grace in movement, it feeling graceful. Somebody said it didn't feel like exercise. Somebody said it felt like exercise versus dance. Sorry, that it felt like dance versus exercise. So then the question that I have, one other thing somebody said was that the tightening of the muscles then into the release felt like a workout in itself, which is very interesting. So when we just work the muscles, that they work and we can fatigue them in a good way, in a healthy way. So the question that I want to leave you with is, what is exercise? What is exercise to you? What can it become? And so I invite you to bring in your creativity, music, nature, your natural movement, and bring that into what you would consider exercise. And thanks so much for joining us. Really appreciate it.